Hey guys, how's it going? I'm coming on strong. Hope you guys are doing well, feeling blessed, not stressed, wherever you are, my dears. So I'm coming on today because I've had a lot of different things happen in the last week or so. If you notice, I haven't really been on. I did the live, but I've been going through my own stuff, as I imagine a lot of you guys have too. Noticed a lot of chosens and starseeds have been off and on their channels because it's been a lot of dense energy. So I had a very beautiful interaction with God recently, and I want to share this because I truly feel like this is not just a message for or was not a message just for myself, but is a message for all of you. And I also had some other like postulations that kind of all coalesced together. Realistically, what this is all going to be about, for the most part, after I profess God's message to you guys, is about self actualization, self realization. But at the same time, it's because everything that I've gone through in these last weeks kind of ties into God's message. So it was like I was feeling certain things, I was seeing certain things, and then God solidified it with the message. And this message, I feel like, is going out to a lot of you. So I'm going to start with that message and see if that hits any chords with any of you out there. Or if you guys have even had this happen to you recently. Or if you guys are feeling the waves of such things, please chime in, leave me a message. Please like, please share, please subscribe. It's free, it helps. I want to branch out more, so do me a solid. People have asked for less. Just like and just subscribe because I got a lot to say and I love people, so please join in. The message from God I received was about a week ago. And I was just doing my day-to-day rigmarole, you know what I mean? I do my chores, I do my vids, I do whatever I need to do for myself or where I'm headed in life, right? And I was actually walking to go pick up my son, or I had just picked up my son. I can't remember if my son was there or not. But I know that I had the cart because it was part of the whole thing. And I was walking, and all of a sudden, like, I got stopped in my tracks, and I just got downloaded this very old memory that I have not ever remembered since the time that it took place. So I knew that this was quite profound, because to remember or be shown this play by play of the entire memory, like as if I was right back in my younger body living out the memory, was so profound to my core that I was like, this is huge. And if this is happening to me, maybe this is happening to others, and I want to talk about it. So the the thing I was shown was me as a 6, 7 year old self. I know that like the back of my hand because there was this really grotesque green carpet that I had in my room at that time. And it wasn't until I was 10 that I moved out of that room. So seeing that carpet again really like got to me. And I felt and smelt like the entire memory. It was so vivid. And it was this moment in time. I was small, I was young, I was alone playing because I'm an only child. Hello, I don't know if you guys are. And as I was playing, because you have to understand, even from a young age, I was very close with my angels. I was very close to God. Like, and I think most of us are as children. We just don't realize what it is that we're interacting with. But there, at least for me, has always been this warm sense of a parent always watching over me, even from day one. So I had this memory relive itself with me. And God had asked at my 6, 7 year old self, what's your dream in life, Ashley? I know I was so young, but God was asking me, like, what's the biggest wish? What's the biggest dream? What's the biggest thing you want to do in this world or in your life, right? And I was getting to relive my answer. And I remembered this moment. That's what was so crazy. It was like, I was sitting there and I was like, wow, I'm like, I do remember God asking me, but I didn't know it was God. I just thought it was like the connection to myself, I guess, at that time. But now I realize it was God because I understand the vibrance, I understand the feeling, I understand the sound, I understand the boom, I understand all of that. So God had asked me that, like, what was my biggest dream? And when I said what I said, which was it was my 6, 7 year old self, but it was so profound. I said, oh, I just want to save the world. And I for that moment in time felt all the courage and fearlessness in that statement. It was so like, I don't want to cry because that's how much in touch with that little girl I was, the one I never have seen since, right? And when I spoke those words out, I want to save the world, it was the most honest request I had ever made, I think. And when my older version was like fused with that younger version of myself, it was like I was meeting myself again, and then realizing that I had lost so much since that age. Because the thought of me doing that at this present moment in time was met with fear and hesitancy. And that's what I'm trying to say about this whole self actualization and fearlessness that we as adults or as older selves formulate and, adopt in growing in a human existence. So when I finished that memory, right, playing it out, feeling the feelings I felt as like my 6-year old self, and then feeling the feelings I feel as my 38, 39-year old self, I was just like, holy crap, like I've lost a part of my realist self of not being as fearless and as gung-ho for a vision as grand as that, right? But yet I felt that there was also this inner part of me, this like reviving inner part of me that's like, that still rings true. You know what I'm saying? It's like I still do in some aspect want to save the world. So when I finished having that memory, God basically was saying, like, your dream or your wish will be done. Or it was more like, thy will be done. That's pretty much what I heard. And I'm not laughing. I just laugh out of like the grandness of what it was. And when I heard that, I was like, wow. I was like, does that mean just for myself or does that mean for everyone? And it's not really like you can ask those questions directly sometimes. And all I felt was this overwhelming feeling of it being like a wave that was going through this planet right now. It was like as he or he, she, the energy of the all said this to me, it was like I could feel it rushing out of me to everyone. So that's why I say I feel like this message is for everyone. So if you are someone that knows or has had this vision recently or has had some type of run-in with your past self or your smaller self or some type of reconnection to this larger mission or feeling of greatness and or gravity of a larger whole recently, I will say that this connection that you're feeling, and I say because if it's happening to me, it's happening to a lot. You know what I mean? We are unified. I don't care what any of y'all say. We're all unified. Some way, some shape, some form. My message is going to correlate and others are going to have the same message and we're all going to be vibing and correlating at the same rate or ratio, whatever you want to put it. So I feel like God's saying to all of you that thy will be done. So I feel like somehow, and I know a lot of us feel like there's going to be some huge change or epicness to what the actual actualization of what this is. So if that is the end of the message that I got from God, now what I want to say is the culmination of things that may have been shifting and changing for us as a whole. It feels like a lot of us have gone through a lot of dense energies recently. And I've been questioning a lot ever since I even talked about like how I had said like I had been getting some information and interaction with other beings showcasing to me that okay, I'm just going to put this out as frank as I can. So I get this message from God and I'm like, okay, like how does this all, and you can't question the plan, right? You can't question the plan. The plan's the plan. It's going to be the plan. Whatever's meant to be is going to be, right? But I sat there and I said to myself, I was like, can I get some visualization of how this transpires, right? Because you got to ask it delicately. You can't just ask for directness. Sometimes you have to ask a lot of probing questions, or you can ask out like as a generalization. So the first things that were being hinted to me, and I said this in a couple of videos, because you have to understand this whole emotional execution and what I was shown and the evolution of what I was shown playing out took some weeks, okay, which brought me to this point right now. So I had said in some past videos when I said that boom feeling was coming through, right? And I got that whole thing with like China and playing around with fission. And then it was like right after I'd asked this question, what does this have to do with, right? And I got two signs. One was that I saw this video about this mirage or illusion that happens in India and China, which is to have three suns show up in the sky. And all I got at that point was saying, and I know that that's an illusion. I know that that's just a trick of optics that that part of region of the world sees, right? But I asked it, I was like, okay, this feels like it's hinting to something that I'm asking. And it seemed like all I saw in my mind was the three suns merging into the main sun. Like the main sun is what causes the illusion here on Earth, right? But what I'm saying is that I saw all three in my mind's eye coalescing into one, which is the most honest, real one, right? So I saw that vision. And then I asked about it, and something about that was like being shown to me about this merging of one, merging into the one sun, the three suns merging into the one sun. And then I kept seeing this, you know how everyone keeps showing those photos of like 3D and 5D being two planets, right? Or like two merging versions of self. But what I was being shown, and what was funny, was that one of my brothers, that comes on my lives a lot, did a video just about this. So it was kind of like an added cherry on the cake. Was like I kept seeing these two videos of people putting up, oh, 3D, 5D, 3D, 5D. But what I was being shown was more like, here's the real world. Like if you could think of the real world being all dimensional versions. Like that's the most coalesced version of the world as one unit, I guess you could express. And I'm not saying that this is what it is, but what I'm trying to say is like, if you could think of all dimensional versions of the world, there's so many different timelines and versions of the world, right? But it seems like there's these dimensions that are trying to merge into, like, to coalesce into one piece. But for some reason, I keep getting shown three. So what I'm saying is like I keep getting shown like two external, right, outside of the main one, and two coalescing into the one, which ultimately is not becoming three. It's like three coalescing into one. So, but it's these two alternate worlds that are merging into the already functioning whole version self of all dimensional selves of the one world, if that makes any sense to anybody. It's like all 12 of the worlds are already making the whole of what the one I'm talking about. And then it's like these two mirages, or these two diverging dimensional versions of the world merge into the one whole world. Okay, I know I might lose some people, but please. Or you could just look at it as two becoming one. If that makes it easier, that's fine. But it was more of me seeing the merging of it all. So this idea of merging, okay, is so huge and impactful. Like every single scenario, that's the one dissective thing I can take away from it all. God's message to me talked about merging. I was merging a 6-7-year-old self with my 38th, turning 39 in a month or so, version of self. Okay. And how at this particular point, that's when the will be done. So it's like something about all of this envision was showing me about this merging of selves. And that's what brings me to the self-actualization part of it, because I had started the video talking about self-actualization. So in this time of where this merging or this coalescing might be taking place, not only for myself, but also for the collective in a whole, or for the energetic field in itself, or this conscious integration that may be going on at this time. This merging of the selves, this merging of the world, this merging of the consciousness. It's all tied in. It's all interwoven. It's all woven on the same blanket of the unified field. So I don't want to lose myself. Where was I with this? Where was I? Oh yeah, so I get the world scenario, I get the sun scenario, and I have God expressing the merging. So in my personal life, I feel like I'm also doing this merging because I can honestly say, for those of you out there, we have done many what I would call merges in our lives. So, or you could even sing as emerges, okay? Because I like to call it an emerge. I feel like for some of us, we're emerging out of a certain circumstance or a certain place of, or way of being. Personally, for myself, I feel like in this last 2.5 years, I've had to make these emergences. Like the first was, and if you're starting on your journey, this might be the first emergence you face or you interface with, is when you have to break free of all the persons in your life that no longer can follow you on your energetic level, right? You start, like, that's where people usually start off on the journey, is like they're getting rid of all these people. It's just they're falling away, or they're just not in your space anymore, or they're just not part of your next part of your existence. And that's the first emergence, I think, happens for a lot of us. And then the second one is more of the emergence of self, maybe to the world, okay? Where you start to tell and talk to people or express who you are out to the world for the first time. And this isn't the one that is the career person. This is your spiritual or your most soulful execution or evolution emergence that you've gone through in the second part. And as for myself, I'm at a third part right now. And this is where I feel all of this is leading. And the emergence I'm talking about is how I'm unifying. And that's why I feel like the world scenario and the sun scenario and what God presented to me is all trying to say. And if this is saying this to me, it might be saying this to you or someone else that hears this message. I myself am at a point, and I call this an emergence, because I have to now, an emergence time, and this is a way you can identify an emergence time, like when you actually emerge, is that once you pass that level, you can't go back. It's like technically you could go back, I guess, but I don't think so. You'll never be the same. You'll never be the same. Because what you did to emerge caused fall away. If that was friends and family at that time, or it was a self-actualization level that you hit upon, you can't go back to that older way of being anymore. So when you hit these emergence points, they're quite tremendous in how they launch you forward, and they're quite tremendous at how you cannot even reclaim any part of it. So it's not to say that anything bad or good happens. It's just that you get to a point where you're like, oh, I can't even go try to claim that older version, because it would just be like, what's the best way I could describe it? It's like as if, and this is a very ridiculous one, but I'll give you it. It's like as if you went to go be an OnlyFans model or something, and then you try to go back to the church and be a pious churchgoer, schoolgirl type. It's like you've already come out of the closet in some abstract way, and that's why I use the OnlyFans, is like, you know what I mean, abstract way. And then it's like as if you, like, everyone's seeing you in this abstract way, and then all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh no, like, I'm that little good girl who goes to church and is some good you know what I'm saying? It's like you can't reclaim that older persona anymore, because what you emerged the first time expressing is so abstract and evolutionary that for you to go and try to reclaim some other version or some other depiction or action of yourself that is false, because it will be false if you try to go back in time and try to be something else. It's like as if like it's just not possible. Like not only would you not buy it, neither would anyone around you, because of the emergence you had was so profound. So when you go through these emergencies, that's another way you can kind of qualify it, because it's like you really can't go back. You can't even pretend to be that person anymore. So that's the way I'm describing it. So this third jump that I'm attempting or going to have to attempt, and maybe you guys are at that stage too, because God, when you're going through your challenges in your journey, is not going to ask you to go from A to Z. God's going to, get you through all the letters. And the thing is that I'm at a point where I have to go to the next letter, let's just say, so to speak. And maybe you guys are at this emergence point as well, where you're going to evolve, or you're going to get to a place of self-realization and actualization where you can't go back to this version that you're seeing right here, right? That girl, my future self, won't be able to reclaim me. Let's just put it this way. Just like I can't reclaim the 2.5. Oh my gosh, to reclaim the 2.5, okay? Just to put it in some context here, just speaking for myself, my 2.5 year ago version of me was so scared of being vulnerable that the thought of even doing this right now with all of you would have petrified me, put me in a tizzy. I would have neglected this to the nth degree, that 2.5 year version of me, because I was always the one that was like, oh, I've got to be composed, I got to put it on a facade, I got to look good, I got to have this, I got to have that, I got to be like. So for me to even be vulnerable, I didn't even talk about my feelings back then, okay? I didn't even express who I truly was at all. I was always putting on a facade everywhere I went. I was putting a facade at work. I was putting on a facade for my friends. I was putting on a facade for my family. Do you know how long I've been a chameleon for? Like, I can't even describe to you guys. This whole YouTube adventure, this last 2.5 years, has been me undoing the chameleon that I was my entire life, because I've always been connected to angels and God and all this, and I never told anyone, okay? Never shared my feelings, never expressed anything, because it's like, not only that, I grew up with a drill sergeant father that made me suppress feelings since day one. Tough, don't cry, and we don't show people what we do, and this and that, and that kind of warping my entire childhood. Even though I was silently in my room talking to God, my atheist father would never hear that. So you have to understand, I can never go back to that 2.5 year version of me, because as I evolved and as I self-actualized, like I'm sure you guys had to, what I realized is that as I'm trying to make these leaps and bounds against the fears that we all have, the fears that are all put in front of us, it comes with so much vulnerability. Like, I had to start telling people online who I am to get through to the next version of self. So that's why it's like, when people think that these extraordinary launch offs that we have in our lives don't come with a level of vulnerability, there's no way to be fearless without vulnerability, at least in my experience. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been able to achieve anything or get past any fear without being my most, or showcasing myself in some vulnerable form. I'm being honest. Like, it's weird. It's like my oldest self, I had things like GERT. I had things of like extreme overweightness. I was handling vices all the time just so I could keep up the facade. You know what I mean? And it's like, as I gave up all of those fears, as I became more vulnerable, it's like the fear lessened and lessened and lessened, because I was like, I'm not scared of how this looks. I'm not scared of what this is. I'm not scared, so the fear comes from the vulnerability. And the thing is that for us going through this next situation, I feel like a lot of us, when God's saying thy will be done, it was like, whoa, like, if my will as a child was to execute a mission of like, I don't know what the gravity is, but let's say it is to save the world. Let's just say, right? You know how vulnerable someone has to be fearless enough to even get to that level? And the thing is like, I'm still at a stage where I'm trying to get my eye on, and that comes with so much fearlessness. You have no idea. And I'm biting my tongue on that one, let alone thy will be done. Okay. So all of us have this thy will be done out there for us to grab at. Okay. Because all of us have a soul purpose. All of us have a mission in life. All of us have the purpose we came here for. And I don't want to put this into less context, but like realistically, if we wrote this story and we're the writers with God, like you have to understand, we come into these lives to express ourselves as souls. And we're on a soul mission. We're not just on a mission. We're on a soul mission. Our soul with God combined, interwoven. We are God. We come away from God. We are the created of God. Like, you know what I mean? Humans are the creation of God. You and I are the creation of God. And we are out here trying to fulfill our soul destinies, our soul missions, the ones that we co-created and spoke to before we even came in utero to perform. And it's not just to perform for ourselves, it's to perform for God. It's to perform to say, hey, Dad, hey, Mom, look, I'm actually doing what I came here to do. Remember, I signed on the dotted line to do all this? Look at me, guys. Look at me. I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? So there is this self-actualization and representation that we all feel deep down inside, that we are chosen, right? After all, what are we chosen for? We're chosen to be the most evoluted version of our soul self that we can possibly be. And by being vulnerable and expressing ourselves to the fullest capacity is one of the gifts that we have to profess to the world. Because God made us this way. Like, you can't do what I'm doing because I can't do what you're doing. Your uniqueness is what God fashioned. Okay? My uniqueness is what God fashioned. We're all this fashioning of these droplets of this beautiful, everlasting, awesome pool of heavenly honey glow of goodness and perfection. So it's like, to not feel like God's will be done. It will be done. But as the humans experiencing it and having to go through these fear sets and these acknowledgements and vulnerability and these acknowledgements, and I'm not saying being vulnerable just means like, oh, boo-hoo, crying all the time, but being vulnerable can mean so many things. Like, for example, like, I'm okay with expressing who I am now. That took years of practice. Like, for me to even get on a camera and tell people who I am and what I'm doing and all this is not something that I would have even thought about 5 years ago, okay, for example. But it is something I've warmed up to. It is something I've had to persevere through. And I'm not sure if you guys are in the same stage where you're actually like, how do I express my soul mission in this life? And does it mean getting on camera? Does it mean professing? Does it mean creating art? What does it mean to you? And that's what I'm saying. When we profess our deepest wishes and wants, which for me as a 6-year-old was to save the world, what does that mean for any of us? What is your biggest destiny, wish, and mission on this planet? And I feel like to actually be vulnerable enough to go after it is what is being asked of any of us at any time. So I had all of this happening for me, and I wanted to share it and express it because I'm wondering if this is happening for others. But I truly wanted to say, like, I'm not just doing this for myself. I'm not just doing it for God. I'm doing it for all of you, because it's like, if I create and go after my biggest mission, and let's say it is to save the world, right? Doesn't that mean you guys are all part of it too? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, okay, you guys could laugh at me, but I mean, to save the world could be in any capacity. And who knows, maybe I could share something or do something that helps in the evolution of, saving the world. I could just be a ripple in a big ocean, or I could be the ocean. You know what I'm saying? We never know where our place is truly. But I feel like God's hand is upon us, because for all of us out there that have been like striving for something or striving for greatness, I feel also that our self-actualizations is what's going to prompt this overwhelming sense of thy will be done. So if you are also at a point where I like to call it the plank, on a ship, I feel like every time I get to one of these stages of where I can't go back in time, I always feel like I'm a pirate at the end of one of those planks, and all I see is a bunch of piranha and sharks waiting for me at the bottom of and I gotta like, I'm being pushed off. It's like I'm really, really shimmying right to the end. And that's the way a lot of those feelings feel. It's like whenever you're coming to these self-actualization or self-greatness points in life, you feel like you're going to the edge of a plank and you feel like terrified of those piranha and those sharks. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, you know, that if you don't do this jump off, so much more is to be lost. A lot of the times I would say I end up in a place where like a bigger fear of mine is hitting directly adjuncts to what I have to do. And that's the honest truth. I always feel like the bigger fear I have is of failing all of you and failing myself and failing the world, right? Biggest fear. So when I'm up against these precipice points and my intimate fear that I'm facing at the moment doesn't like succumb or supersede or beat that bigger fear, I naturally will gravitate to jumping off the plank. And maybe you guys are the same way. But what I will say is that if you have to make it all the way to the end before you jump off, I will say God is very great at kind of restricting all your other options, because realistically, that's what I mean about the co-creation part. It's like you ultimately want to achieve this. You ultimately want your highest good goal, dream, wish to actually manifest in the real. So it's like these little A to Z portions, these letters, like I said, that we got to get through in order to get to Z. God's going to be right there pushing you off the plank so that you can actually fulfill the contract that you set out to do. So I feel like I don't know if I should do an energy read, but because I'm talking about energies, I think I will. So if you want to tap out at this point, I'm done. But that prophetic message I got from God, I think should hit a lot of people, because I personally feel like if you are someone who has a big wish, I feel like it's going to get fulfilled. And I don't ever get those. I mean, I get messages from God. I have channeled God at times, but I'm saying where God actually like pulled me aside to show me something hasn't happened for some time. So I would say really, if you are feeling this too, please express. We need to share. We need to grow together. That's the only way out of this. Not out of this, not the only way, but it's one of the best ways, because realistically, if all of us illuminate and all of us come on and all of us unify, there is nothing that can stop us, like really and truly, because that is the biggest fear of all of the puppeteers on this planet. Doesn't matter where they come from or who they are. They cannot outdo the wave that is our human existence. Okay, so the cards, I'm knocking and knocking. Come on, little doggies. But yeah, I know a lot of us are really worried about the way the world is going, and it is a place of, constant turmoil, it seems, right now. But I do feel all of us light workers and all of us ascenders, we're all trying to master this ascension. That's really what we're trying to do, and it's not going to come with ease. And it's funny because even sometimes, like, I even think to myself, because a lot of us may or may not be on what they call a twin flame journey. They say the twin flames are like, oh, when you unify your masculine and your feminine. And I do believe that that's actually true, because if there is another entity that does share my soul, let's just say, I would have to unify and be in my middle ground self to even get to that person. Well, that's what I truly feel. I feel like the only way that two physical people actually unite as twin flames, sharing the same soul, etc., is if both parties can come to that middle ground. And I think what's very interesting is sometimes when I'm doing all of these challenges and stuff, I just keep thinking to myself like, oh, I'm like rope tied to my twin. And it's like the two of us have to like get through all these challenges, these exaltations, these transformations, just so the contract that we signed with each other can be fulfilled as well. Because that I do feel, because personally, I just got to share this out. Like if you are somebody that feels like you are a twin flame, I personally, blossoming abundance, guys. We got this last week. I sometimes feel like I'm going through things just because my twin is suffering through them. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like, oh, whatever my fears are, I must be like, really good at it. And whatever his fears are, like, or vice versa, like whatever I'm bad at, he's good at. And whatever he's bad at, I'm good at. Or I have to go through these things so that he can learn, and he has to go through those things so I can learn. I keep thinking, I like to think of these cutesy things sometimes, because I think this idea of a twin flame feels like it's so needed at this time, because I try to tell myself, like, for all the things that we've all gone through, there are not many people like us. You know what I mean? It's even hard to find another star seed or another chosen unless it's online, never mind in your day-to-day. Okay, like, God help us all if we're around light workers all the time. That would be fantastic. But I fortunately do not get to see that all the time. So sorry, there were too many cards keep coming up. So if you are somebody who feels like you're on a twin flame journey, sometimes they feel like we're just going through things for our twin and vice versa. Because it's like, in my heart of hearts, I feel like I truly have to be who I am so that I can even have a journey again. Jeez, like, come on. You guys understand? Like, how do I make the same cards come out every week? Feel like maybe it's the same people watching, or whoever these messages for are always for. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Caring connections and anxiety. Oh my god. It's like as if, like, for all of you guys that follow me, like, that actually go and listen to these reads, tell me how I'm doing this. I'm getting the same freaking cards every time. Now, maybe all of you could say it's my energy causing it. Yes, perhaps. But I'm just saying, it's like maybe this is the message I'm supposed to be hearing over and over again. Maybe. But it's like, I don't know how I actually am doing that, because I've never won the lottery. You know what I'm saying? These odds are pretty weird. So I'm going to clarify them with the clarifiers, which are the Return to Spirit cards. So if you guys are interested, so far I've got Blossoming Abundance, Journey, Hearing Connections, and Anxiety. And at least what I can say about this, it's basically looking like Blossoming Abundance is upon the journey, Caring Connections is in your way, and you're anxious about all of this. That's what it seems like so far. That's why I do the clarifiers, because I'm like, no, it needs to be a little better than that. So let's do this. But I truly am at a place where I'm just like, so much is coming into place. Like, I feel like I'm about to have to do something huge again. And you know what it is? The truth and honesty of it, of what I have to do, is actually to combine all my worlds. And that's why that whole message about the 3 suns and the 3 worlds, that's what I've got to do. I've literally got to combine. I don't know if you guys are big Seinfeld fans, but there's this, George Costanza talks about how the worlds are colliding. It's when his friend world and his spousal world start to come together. He's like, oh, I can't have Susan seeing me with my friends. The worlds are colliding, because he feels like if he doesn't compartmentalize these 2 worlds and they collide, that it's going to be the end of him. So in a weird way, I kind of feel the same way, because I'm like, once I merge these worlds together, it's like there's no going back to even this version of me. So you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that what seems difficult for you, it might be easy for me. But what seems, hella scary for me might be a laugh to you. Okay. Power is what's qualifying Blossoming Abundance. I got the power. That's what that's saying. So that's freaking fantastic. And that's what I think we're all striving to reach at this point is our inner power and our strength, because that's where the real abundance is. Because that's what I'm going through, you know. It's a trap, see? I said it's a trap because it really is. It's like a proverbial trap we create for ourselves. And to some, our mazes could be easy to get through for others, but you know, their maze may be easy for us. So that's why I constantly feel like we have to connect, because we all have to reach each other where we're at. And I do feel like if all of our dreams are being, you know, thy will be done for all of our dreams and all of our purposes here, and we're being coached and aided as we transform once again and again and again. I just feel like that, like, whisper in my soul from God was just fantastic. Journey, immunity. Oh, that's gratifying to be immune. That's like Trump on a good day. Sorry, I just had to throw that in because that man is like a miracle worker. I don't know how I feel about that guy. I just know he's a system buster. I just know that now with this whole Kamala rise up, I'm like, you know, the demo's got to change up their gears. The next card is up. Caring connections. That's what's up for the order. What? This is, no offense, I just want to say that the up looks kind of phallic, if you get my drift. And what I will say is, like, maybe whoever you're with is getting it up for you in this case. But I'm like, come on, like, that's pretty something. I don't know. I'm intuiting what I'm seeing, and I know it's of a sexual flavor, but I gotta go with what I see. That's pretty, oh my gosh. And anxiety is music. This sounds, or maybe it's because you're anxious about all the beautiful music you'll be making with this caring connection of yours. This, I don't know, guys. I don't see nothing wrong with this reading this week. There's no negative and Nelly stuff. There's no negative and nothing in this whole reading. So basically, blossoming abundance is brought forth with power. Okay, power, yellow. I'm thinking crown with this for some reason. The power comes in the vibrancy of the crown, or of the self-worth. I'm getting the self-power aspect of this because of the yellow, the crown. And blossoming abundance, and you know, this speaks to my situation too, because I feel like once I reclaim all of my power, which is to merge all of the worlds, to express fully and truly, and thy will be done, and being proud of that and knowing that, I feel like all of us are, you know, as we're walking into our self-power, the more and more we go from A to Z, and we just keep climbing and just self-actualizing and just bringing forth this type of abundance in our lives. I feel like it's all going to come together. You know me, I got to always bring everything together in unity. Now, this is why I think this is interesting, because journey, it's like when you're on a journey, you don't truly know all the time where you're headed. That's why they call it a journey, you know, not truly a destination, right? A journey is like you getting anywhere and nowhere and somewhere, and it's just journeying because there isn't that destination in sight yet. And what I will say is that to whoever this is, you're immune. You're able to go travel and do whatever you want to do, and you're just going to be impervious and immune to everything that befalls you. And that's a beautiful place to be, because nothing can hurt you if you're immune, okay? You are at peak health and completion in oneself, I think, if you can go journey with immunity, because nothing can hurt you, nothing can harm you. You will walk into full abundance and power wherever you go on your journey, and that's a lovely sentiment. And what I'm saying is that for some of you, maybe all of you, you're going to get this caring connections. And why I say, I don't know why, but the minute I saw this, I thought of order up. Okay, I know there was this phallic nature to it, but that's not what I really intuited from the beginning. It's like order up. I'm getting order up. Like, it's your turn for this caring connection. And yes, maybe there'll be some of the phallic boom going on. You know what I'm saying? maybe this person gets it up for you and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? They razzle dazzle. They got you hot in all the places that have not been hot, if you get what I'm saying. Anyways, moving on. This anxiety and music thing, because it's attached to all of this, this is the only negative Nelly thing. Because remember how, I think it was last week or the other, where I felt like anxiety was a good anxiety. This isn't what I was intuiting. It's like as if I feel like, okay, I'm going to tell you what I get from this. You know the feeling of like finding something you want so desperately and want so much in your soul? A lot of us get hit with a sense of fear of loss. And for some reason, with the way all of these cards are so powerful and so great, I feel like this anxiety that this person's facing has to do with the fear of losing all of this greatness. And I don't know why, but that's what I'm actually perceiving from this card, or feeling or intuiting from this card. It's like as if she's like thinking about all this greatness that is befalling her, but there's an anxiety within her because she's like, oh no, this is so good. What if I lose it? So I feel like the reason why I'm getting music, I would say, is like, not only does this mean that you and the person may have some type of synth or some type of like flow of rhythmic understanding, in the sense of like your two energies will morph very well together and maybe make beautiful music together. But I also feel like what happens with even anxiety in general, what a lot of people tend to do is listen to music, like how I do all the time, to get my energetics up or to soothe any anxiety. I notice that if I have heavy anxiety, music, especially uppity music or nostalgic music, always brings me to a place of calm. So maybe what this is trying to say, but I will say this, what I do notice about this is, you see how they look like hearts, burning hearts of desire? It's like as if I think whoever this connection is, and I don't know if this has to do with acoustics or this has to do with some type of synth, like synthesizing, or I'm getting vibrations that merge very well together, that burn for each other, okay? And I feel like the two chords or the two energies or the two vibrations, when they do meet, will make beautiful music. So it's like, I feel like whatever this anxiety is that this person's feeling, it's like once they meet this person, or once they connect with this person or these persons, let's say, but the only reason why I think it's a romance is because of the card and the way it's structured. So I feel like whatever anxiety befalls this person about all of this greatness reaching them, I would say just think about how your heart seethes for this person, or how much you love this person, and that music, or that's synthesization, I don't know if that's how you say it, will kind of soothe your heart yourself. It's like the anxiety will fall away when you just reconnect to this, like this soulful vibration within yourself to connect with this person. So yeah, like the song saying, to be grateful. So that's all I have for you guys today. But if you have had God's presence and some type of understanding of what I mean about this gift coming true, or this gift being perceived, or maybe like yourself actualizing how you're going to bring your biggest gift, which is yourself, to the world, etc., please put it in the notes, and please put a message. Please like, please subscribe, and please share. I'm actually, this merging of the worlds for myself is how I'm going to start breaching this, because for myself, this has been a huge blockade in my life. I've never been able to just truly be myself in all appearances. And I mean in all appearances. And what I mean by merging of the worlds is like putting my YouTube together with my Facebook, together with my Instagram, showing everyone what I've shown you guys. Because I'm the most realist and authentic on this channel. And it's not to say that I'm not real in all shapes and forms, but it's like, even though I've told people I'm a channeler out there, I've never told people I talk to angels. I've never told people I speak with alien species, that I'm in communication with God as profusely as I do on this channel. And only those that have found me, that reverberated with me, found me. But for me to go publicize this and unite everything is somewhat scary, and it may be simplistic to you guys, but it's my, that's my demon. That's my fear. And it's all about this feeling of like, just getting out of my own head, you know. And I just truly feel like if you're feeling that way too, I hope this helped. Have a good one. Love you guys lots.